Deion Sanders? What the H?
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of offthehooksports.com.
Okay, that is not the same TCU team that played for a championship. But Deion Sanders rolls into Colorado. What was their record last year?
1-11.
1-11. Previous 3 years, they won how many games? I think it's 3 or 4 or 5. It's not many.
Yeah,
They beat a program that was playing for a national title last year. You can hate Deion and his brashness all you want, but Deion's going to be successful. Who will have a better career? I think we're all shocked by Deion. Deion Sanders or Josh Heupel? Who will have a better career? Now, let's first define career. How do you want to define career, Caleb? You choose.
Success in the coaching ranks, period, as a coaching career.
Yeah, but what
college, NFL.
Okay. Championships?
Championships. I think now just championships. And the reason I say now just championships with the playoff going to 12 teams, 10, 15 years ago, I would have said record, conference. National championships were so much more subjective that it was hard for me to say this coach had a better career than that one because this one had more titles. Like, I think Bobby Bowden had a better career than Woody Hayes, even though Woody Hayes won more national titles. It's just such a subjective thing. So now
longevity would mean something like Joe Paterno. Let's forget about the Sandusky stuff. Joe Paterno's longevity meant something.
It does.
And okay, so what about betterment of young men? What about betterment? Because clearly Deion Sanders is making an incredible change in a lot of young men's lives, taking them from places that were pegged as, oh, those are just they're black college athletes. And that's clearly not the case. So he's bettering young men. So I'm going to factor that in as well. There's a part of me that wants to say Deion, but let me let you go first, Caleb. Who has the better career?
I'm going to say Josh Heupel for this reason. I have a theory with Deion for a while, and I'm not taking anything away from what he did over the weekend. You're right. But I think Deion is in this because he wants to coach his son specifically. And I think he's going to follow his son from college to the NFL. He's been following him since middle school. He's been going wherever his son's been playing to coach. And I think I think people aren't noticing. For Deion, this is about coaching his son. It's not about him as a coach himself. And it's not even, yes, he's caring about his other players, but it's about coaching his son. So when Shedeur goes to the NFL, Deion's going to try to finagle that NFL job wherever it is and coach his son there.
I think it's Josh Heupel, and here are the reasons why. But I could make a strong argument for Deion, and I might just do that here in a second. But the arguments for Heupel are he's at a school where he's going to have more NIL money. And you're right. Deion may very well up and leave when his son Shedeur decides to go to the NFL, whenever that might be, which might be in 3 years. Or not, how many years has he been
he was
out?
at Jackson State. He might be gone after. I think he could be gone after this year, couldn't he? Or is it the next year?
Yeah, why don't you check on that for me? So I think it's Josh Heupel, because I do think he makes young men better. And I think that there's a culture there, and whatever you believe in, there's a culture of faith. And I believe that makes a difference in young men's lives. I believe that Josh Heupel will be around college longer. I used to think that he would jump to maybe the NFL, but I don't think so nowadays, because I think he likes the aspect of working with young men. And ultimately, I think that when it comes down to it, he's going to be a better X's and O's coach. So Deion may have surrounded himself with great X's and O's guys right now, but those guys are going to get poached. And at some point, that is what Josh Heupel is. You can't poach the head coach unless he goes. So if he goes somewhere else, that's something totally different. I believe Deion is the 2020s version of Philip Fulmer. He is outspoken, he is loud, but he is like Philip Fulmer in that he is the CEO of that program. He tells people what to do. They do it. He trusts people to do it, just like Philip Fulmer did with Randy Sanders and John Chavis. No, they're not the same color. No, they're not as boisterous. No, they weren't great. No, they weren't the same athletes, not anywhere close. But I think they're very similar. And the last being, they are incredibly good recruiters. So I believe that Sanders will have a successful coach. He's also had health issues. But I think at the end of the day, I would take Josh Heupel and a potential of 15 years at Tennessee over Deion Sanders, who may well move. Now, this question was asked by Daniel. Do you think a big-time program will hire Deion? He may be a great coach, but will big programs deal with him? He just gets under my skin. Well, I would answer that with Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin gets under a lot of people's skin. Lane Kiffin is, he was already involved with NCAA issues when he was hired by Southern California. But what happened? He still got that job. He still had a successful career at FAU, and now he's moved on to Ole Miss. So I think a big-time program would call Deion if he won at an elite level. What's winning at an elite level at Colorado? Well, it's got to be at least getting close to winning the Big 12 or winning the Big 12. But then you ask yourself, what's the next step up in jobs? Because to me, Colorado is not a tier 4 job as it's looked like the past couple of years. It's a tier 3 job. Tier 1 is in my opinion, the programs that can win a championship with the right coach. Tier 2 are like the TCUs of the world that have to get really lucky and things fall into place to win it. And that's where I would have Colorado, not tier 3, where you got no shot no matter who your coach is. So what would be the next type of job he would get? Does an Alabama come calling? Does a Southern California come calling? Does a Texas come calling? No, I don't see that no matter how much success he has, because I think there will be other options, and he is going to be a headache. Colorado is desperate, or he never gets that opportunity. I don't know that any other program is going to be that desperate. So to answer the question, Josh Heupel has a better overall career than Deion Sanders for a couple of different reasons. You're so right. And I was thinking that right before you said it, because I wanted to say it, that you trust Josh Heupel, the X's and O's guy. You trust for Deion, you're hiring him based on who he can hire, and he's going to be a great recruiter. I will say there will be some programs desperate enough. Tennessee was desperate enough to hire Lane Kiffin, partially because of his brashness, because honestly, I think they were tired of they had become kind of a public punching bag for Florida at the time. Dave, with the way we're laughing at Florida right now and the way we're laughing at Billy Napier, you don't think just out of sheer anger at that, they're going to want somebody like Deion Sanders who can throw it back in people's faces? Okay, now Florida is a good job, Caleb. Florida is a very good fit. Now, yes, okay, if Billy Napier, all right. As a matter of fact, this would not surprise me at all, okay? If Shedeur Sanders, who I think can go after this year if he wants to, right? Okay. Yep. That's his son. That's the quarterback. If he goes and Billy Napier continues to bleep the bed, then could Florida call Deion Sanders? And let me tell you something. For those that want to say, oh, he'd never go to Florida because he's Florida State, BS. The guy wants to win championship. The guy wants to win more money. I'm sorry. Most of the players that you root for feel some allegiance to their universities, but not all. And very few feel a strong allegiance. That's why I've been so privileged to be able to write the Celebrate 98 book. He would go to Florida in a heartbeat.
Vince Dooley was an Auburn grad and is the greatest coach in Georgia history. So, yes, you go where the money is. Deion will go to Florida, and Deion resents Florida State for not hiring him a few years ago. I don't know if you guys know that. It's very much Josh Heupel with Oklahoma and how he feels about what they did.
They're practically the same guy.
Deion and Josh Heupel are both cocky. Deion's just more brash about it. By the way, and the other thing, it's funny, you brought up the Deion Fulmer comparison. another area they're similar. They're even though one was way more talented at the position he played, they were both gurus at the position they played. They know how to coach the position. Whatever else you want to say about Deion, he can coach defensive backs, and Philip Fulmer could coach offensive linemen. And
that's true. That was my big knock on Dooley is what does he coach really well? I mean, that was my big knock on Butch Jones too. What does he coach? Where did he come up? Where is he going to have a unit that is as good as any unit in the nation? Where are the best defensive backs going to play? Where was the best offensive line under Fulmer? Where were the best quarterbacks under Cutcliffe? You looked at guys and you thought to yourself, Lincoln Riley is one. He can produce great college quarterbacks. We'll continue to see about the pros, but I never thought that with Butch Jones, who, by the way, crying on the sideline, got all kinds of attention and was absolutely hilarious. A lot of new viewers this morning, so please do me this favor, hit the like button, but more importantly, subscribe and hit notifications. We greatly appreciate that because just like yesterday, we dropped that Sunday show with Fred White, former Vol, and we also had the Vol Report with Jacob Warren, the Vol Report with Cooper Mays as well.